Inside the Arena is presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sportsbook.
Welcome to Inside the Arena, your source for everything off the ice, off the court, and outside the field of play. With your hosts, KOMO Sports Director Niko and KOMO Senior Reporter Chris Daniels.
Come on!
There we go.
Hey! There it is.
There we go.
How about that?
78 straight weeks. Thank you, Bill Fesh, producer Bill.
Let's give a shout out to producer Bill. How about that?
Yeah, he's the one who helped us pull this off. I don't know how we're pulling it off every week sometimes.
Because of producer Bill.
Yes, exactly. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us inside the arena.
You know, it's funny when you get to this many episodes, and it helps you realize just how much is going on in Seattle sports, how special the scene is here. There's always something, whether it's wins, losses, newsworthiness, whatever it is. And that's why we're here.
And we like to talk about everything going on off the ice, off the court, off the field of play. And that includes today. We're talking about something going on off the ice. I think this is kind of a unique story in terms of Seattle sports. The partnership between the Seattle Kraken and the Anchorage Hockey Association, and what the Kraken are trying to do in the Great White North in Alaska, and why it's an important partnership for growing the sport in Alaska. So you're going to hear from Kirk Kullberg with the Anchorage Hockey Association and Kyle Boyd with the Seattle Kraken, talking about how that partnership has kind of evolved since the start of the franchise. Gosh, we're in season 5.
Crazy to think about. And I remember, in the build up to that inaugural season, we were hearing them say, we're Alaska's team. And so, as you know, this has been a point of emphasis from day one, before day one even. And it works out, and it's something that truly makes you regional. It's not like it's close regional, but you know what I'm saying? In the Northwest sphere, so to speak.
Yeah, wait until you hear what Kirk has to say about this and what it's meant for the growth of the sport and the growth of their Learn to Play organization with the Anchorage Hockey Association. That is coming up a little bit later on in this edition of Inside the Arena. But we always like to do this every week. Talk about what's good, what's bad, off the ice, off the court, off the field of play. Push the button, it's 4 corners. Niko,
yeah,
what's good?
Well, I'm going to start with something that we're doing here on KOMO News, celebrating women in Seattle sports, a half-hour special. And what's really cool about it is, as it airs on Thanksgiving, and certainly we'll have it online and things of that sort, but it's one of those moments that we've had all these guests here on Inside the Arena. I mean, Seattle is bar none the best for women's sports. There's a reason the PWHL, A, scheduled a barnstorming tour, and B, came out of it saying we need a team there, right? And then you just think about the newsmakers. I mean, there's interviews in that special with Samantha Holloway, Jessica Campbell, Hillary Knight of the PWHL, Sonia Rahman, the great Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe, Angie Menting. And it's so funny because there's other stories that are so worthy that there's only so much time in a broadcast that you were like, oh gosh, I wish we could have fit in that feature on the Mall twins, the pole vaulters at UW, Erica Wheeler and the charity work she's doing, Jody Allen and how she's charting the Seahawks forward. And the list goes on, not to mention people behind the scenes that make these teams operate that you'll never see on the field or at a press conference, at least at the podium, but they are doing the work that is so important. So in the show where we didn't have infinite time, let's use that time now to especially thank, and listen, we can't name names because there's so many, but you could go down the list of every franchise here in town, every collegiate team in this state. And I guarantee you there is a woman behind the scenes that is making that thing work, whether it's what you and I usually deal with, the PR, whether it's operations. Okay, I'll name one name. I remember I did a story earlier this year with the Mariners and how they transitioned from baseball to concerts. And sure enough, the head person running that is Liz Sword, coolest name ever. And she's running that thing. So it's a really special opportunity to recognize those women that, of course, we talk about briefly in the special because of time, but they have such a big role in Seattle sports. So that's my positive. Shout out to all those people. And again, if we named them all, that would be the entire show today. So well, in the Storm, led by a female ownership team, and the leadership over the Storm is predominantly female. I mean, I'm hard pressed. Whoa, Bill! That really scared me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Whoa, we got a Storm in the studio. I jolted. I was like, what is going on?
I think we're hard pressed to think of another market that has as many women involved in sports behind the scenes, in front of the scenes as this market.
No, absolutely.
And that's what your special is all about.
It is. We were so proud to be able to do it. And again, in proper recognition, able to extend that here to ITA and moving forward. So and you know this because you deal with the same people. We're in there together. It really is special, and they're really the best you'll find in their sport. It's almost a letdown, not to name cities or teams, but when you have to deal with another city or team, because they're not as good as our crews here in Seattle. And again, predominantly led by women in most cases.
Well, speaking of women's sports, what I think is good this week, the fighting Seattle Torrent, although they're not really fighting, but they're kicking
good.
it off on the ice this week in Seattle. But I tell you, just seeing those images out of Vancouver with the Golden Eyes and hearing the stories on social media, 15,000 people in the old Pacific Coliseum, which is where the Canucks used to play. People had flown in from other parts of Canada to see that game, to see the first game in Vancouver history, along with Seattle, with the Torrent and the Golden Eyes. That is a franchise north of the border that has, they're the only tenant in that building. They have the paint, the banners up throughout the Pacific Coliseum, and it was rocking. I heard a comparison to the 2010 Olympic Games, the gold medal match between Canada and the United States, the two women's teams that I was at back in 2010. That was one of my top 5 sporting events to see in person, just because what it meant in the crowd. And it is a heck of a start, I think, for both franchises who are now looking to see it carry over. And in the Torrent's case, here in Seattle with Climate Pledge Arena and what should be a rockin' good show as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. 15 home dates, exciting brand of hockey. We had Caleb Barnes, star defender, come to KOMO Studios, and it's so cool when you talk to all these players because obviously they're prodigiously talented. They're all this, but they really truly understand. Of course they do what this means in the city, and they're so honored to be a part of Seattle sports history because of everything I just said. Like Seattle's reputation in women's sports, like we get to be a part of that, and not just a part of it, but a history-making part of it. It means a lot to a lot of people over there too. It's
going to be fun to watch as that team goes on, not only this week but throughout the rest of the season. So, what don't you like?
You know what? What I don't like is that college basketball is here, and I almost don't care.
A lot of people in Maui didn't care.
That's what I'm saying. Is the game has changed so much, and it's everything we've chronicled on this show. The conference realignment, the way the game has changed, all these different things that have just kind of changed the interest. And even March Madness, I mean, yes, there were some upsets, but it's like fewer and fewer because if you were a good player to mid-major, you're now getting $1 million to go play at a middling Power 4 team or whatever it is. But that's just it. I mean, 5 years ago, WSU was playing in the Maui Invitational. Like, oh, that's really cool. But then it's like, well, all right, well, and this is not a knock on the kids. Obviously the talent is always going to be the talent. It's just, you tell me if I'm off on this. I made a comment to a coworker. Maybe it was you. I can't even remember, honestly. It's just
because we have so many conversations.
Well, we do. It's been a week. And I made the comment that outside of the deep South SEC country, that college sports is kind of like, I'm not saying the interest is waning because you see the ratings for college football. Of course, it's going to be king and everything like that still. But as far as like that regional pride, it's not really as much there. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Dogs in Oregon is going to be an amazing atmosphere Saturday. I can't wait to cover that. But it just feels different. It feels different that, UW and Oregon, I mean, any other year, that's probably for a Pac-12 championship. And now it's for Oregon may have a playoff aspiration if they win. They probably are. UW, even with a win, maybe you get to the Citrus Bowl or something. I don't know. Is it even called the Citrus Bowl anymore? I don't think so. But you get the idea I'm saying here. The game has changed so much.
We've lost track. There's a Pop-Tarts Bowl
I think that's
now.
the point. Yeah. The way the sport has changed in the last 5 years is staggering to the point where we're like, it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl or something like that. No offense to Pop-Tarts. I'm glad they're sponsoring it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just everything has changed. And obviously in Pac-12 country, it's especially different. That UW Oregon game would be really special. I know I've kind of tailed off the basketball point, but that would have conference championship implications any other year. And this year it's kind of like, it means something, but
I'm still getting alerts that the Huskies are trying to sell tickets to that game.
Interesting.
And to your point, it still seems wrong that Oregon and Washington are playing at the end of the season instead of Washington and Washington State. It could be a drizzly, rainy Saturday at Husky Stadium. that we're talking about, or a potentially snowy venue in Pullman. That's never going to happen again.
No.
We're going to see September Apple Cups. That seems wrong. Oregon and Oregon State in the Civil War played in a lot of rainy day games. That's not going to happen anymore in November. There's a question of whether that series will even go on in the next couple of years. All of that seems wrong.
It does. And that's my larger point. It just kind of hit me with the new college basketball season. And that's not listen, Gonzaga's got a good looking team. Dogs are ever improving, that sort of thing, but it just kind of feels different.
You know what's going to feel different?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say here.
If I come around third, come to home, Stephen Fry.
Crazy.
We just got an alert from the Sounders this week that he is now a free agent. He's not been offered a contract renewal. This is a guy who has been the face of the franchise through some of the best days in franchise history, MLS Cups, the guy who has been the heart and soul of this team for a very long time. He may not be back next year. If he is coming back, he may be the backup goalkeeper at this point. We saw kind of a transition this season as well. But Stephen Fry is a guy who has integrated himself into this community. You often see him on his days off walking around, living in the area, built a house. I mean, this guy is now a Sounder, a Puget Sounder, and part of this community. It's going to be a shame if he is not back, knowing how much he has meant to this franchise over such a long period of time.
You're right about that in every way. I mean, just a great ambassador for the franchise. He's not afraid to speak on social issues as well that mean a lot to Seattleites. And it is sad because when you really saw the transition was when he had that ugly concussion incident.
Yeah.
And Andrew Thomas came in and played so well. And that's the kudos to Andrew Thomas. But, he's starting the deciding game in the playoffs. And that's kind of like
Yeah.
And it's kind of, there's nothing wrong with the rise of Andrew or the natural progression of a career. It's just tough that it kind of organically happened the way it did. Hopefully there's a way that they can keep him here. But certainly when you're talking about not offering that, it means, hey, see what your value is. Maybe it's somewhere else. It's a respect thing, of course, to let him see if he can still get enough money. But maybe the soccer gods, if there are any, can work out in a way to get him back here.
As we have talked about on this show, it is a period of transition for the Sounders.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting the same alerts. They are hiring a bunch of people in the front office for the Sounders and the Reign in senior vice president type of roles. They definitely have ambitions about the future, potentially a new stadium. And this is potentially turning the page with Stephen Fry as well. It definitely seems like they are starting a new chapter.
Yeah, I mean, and we've chronicled at length that 2025 and 2026 were just going to be enormous for soccer's profile in Seattle, whether it was the FIFA Club World Cup, the actual FIFA World Cup next year. You got to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. And before that, we had talked about, okay, they had a couple of tough seasons, not up to Sounders standards, right? You got to do everything you can, and especially if you want to build this stadium that they're talking about. And it's gonna be interesting to see this unfold the next few years.
Yeah, and we're by the way also going to find out about who will be playing in Seattle in roughly a week or so.
Oh, that's going to be great.
The draw and then the announcement of who's playing where the following day. That is coming up here in the next week or so, depending on when you're listening. To this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can listen to it all you want, even after they make the announcement.
Yeah. Well, one thing we do like to do is every week talk about what's going on with the potential return of the NBA to Seattle.
That button worked.
That button did work. It continues to work.
Does it?
I think. There we go. All right. We'll keep that one for the blooper reel. So not a lot to report on the potential return of the NBA. It seems like the NBA is continuing to focusing on Europe and starting NBA Europe potentially by 2027. One story that the NBA is going to have to deal with, though, is gambling. And we did see more news on that this week with Chauncey Billups, the likely former head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, actually going into a courtroom in Brooklyn, pleading not guilty to being involved in a very complicated allegation of a crime involving poker games and also potentially betting on basketball. A few other former players have been indicted in that as well. That is a story I think that the NBA is going to have to sort out here over the next months ahead, in addition to what is going on with NBA in Europe, because these are one is a growth issue, the other one is a crisis management.
And it goes to the larger question about, that you see the NCAA kind of stepping back their new rule on gambling, right? Like, I mean, this sort of thing, and a different kind of gambling, of course, in each situation, but it's newer waters, and the NBA trying to navigate that, trying to, as you mentioned, the European thing, potentially expansion or relocation on the horizon. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And the unfortunate thing for fans here in Seattle, it just means you got to wait longer for what we all really want.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
But you know what you don't have to wait for in this town?
What's that?
Hockey.
How about the Kraken?
The Kraken? Off to a great start. Now, hopefully they can score some goals.
Yeah.
Defense looks great under Lane Lambert, but they're just not scoring enough goals.
No, but you know what I like about this team? They always fight. They find a way, even if they're not scoring goals, like they're still winning, at least at a better clip than they have maybe any other year except for the playoff years. So let's see if it shakes out. But I like every player I talked to just said you could see the difference right away with Lane. Not a knock on the past guys, but that's what they needed. They needed to turn the leaf over, have something new, and maybe Lane's the guy to get them over the top and get them back there.
Well, right now they're hovering right at the playoff position, depending on what day you're listening to this in the first couple of months of the season. That's an improvement over the last few seasons.
Definitely.
And one of the things that they've been improving on and working on is developing youth hockey, potentially the future Kraken down the road. And they're doing that in Alaska, in Anchorage, with the Anchorage Hockey Association. You're going to hear from Kirk Kullberg live and direct or on tape from Anchorage, along with Kyle Boyd from the Kraken, talking about that partnership. You're going to hear it right after this.
Looking for the ultimate game day spot? Head up to Hawks Peak Sports Bar and Grill at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. The place to be for game days. With over 60 TVs, you won't miss a single play, no matter where you sit. Grab your crew, your favorite bites, and your go-to drink, and catch every touchdown, dunk, or goal in style. Hawks Peak Sports Bar and Grill, where every seat is the best seat in the house. Learn more at snowcasino.com.
All right, Kirk and Kyle, thanks for doing this. Thanks for joining us inside our arena, although you like to be in other arenas in both Seattle and Anchorage. Let's start with this partnership that has developed over time and only grown over time. How did the Kraken, Kyle, find what's going on in Anchorage and Alaska and decide that you wanted to be a part of it?
Absolutely. It was really from the very beginning of the organization. I think there was an opportunity for us to connect with fans in the state of Alaska and that part of our region. And it really started with kind of some of our connections to the Seawolves and the kind of Save Our Seawolves campaign back in 2021. And then from there, I think there was an opportunity to continue to reach out and to work with youth hockey associations and other hockey leaders in the community. But that's really what kicked it off. And then from there, it's been awesome to be able to support their initiatives every year.
And Kirk, how did the Kraken reach out to you? I know there's a story on how all of this has developed, and you were already running things there at Anchorage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was a part of the Save the Seawolves thing as well, and really the biggest part of the relationship started with the Anchorage Hockey Academy and running a summer camp that was just had a joint partnership between us and the Kraken, and having some coaches and come up here at Bowie, and we've had a couple players come up now, but what was that that was 6 years ago, 5 years ago. It was
time flies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It just developed into this massive relationship where now we even have youth teams going back and forth to play and stuff like that. So,
yeah, Kyle, I was going to say you've been involved from the start here and the Learn to Play program there at KCI. How can you explain for our viewers and listeners what it's all about and how that's translated to Alaska?
Yeah, absolutely. Here in Seattle, we have kind of a Kraken Youth Hockey Association located at Kraken Community Iceplex, which is a home base for our organization. The team is here practicing. Our youth players are practicing. And as Kirk mentioned, we're able to bring teams from all over the region together to play in games, play in tournaments. And so it's the largest facility in the state with 3 sheets of ice. And it's an incredible place for not only our professionals to develop and hone their skills, but for all of those aspiring professionals to fall in love with the game. And so that's been really what the facility has meant to the community. And then, of course, the programming within the facility has taken off every year since we launched. And so from the beginning, we started with our learn to skate and learn to play. And then from there, there's opportunities for youth to participate in recreational hockey and more travel hockey, AAA hockey, kind of at the highest youth levels. And so it's been great to see. And to kind of Kirk's point, we knew that it would be important to have that relationship here in Seattle, but we also wanted to make sure we were establishing relationships across the Pacific Northwest. And so to what he mentioned earlier, in 2022, I think we sent up some KCI coaches to be a part of the academy. And then the next year, Bowie came along, so as the mascot and coaches. I think every year there's been 100+ kids in the academy, so it's amazing what they're putting on up there in Alaska. And then Jamie Oleksiak and a player by the name of John Hayden have gone on the last couple of years as well. So it's been great to see our organization really lean in, and it's been really with the help of a partner, BBNC, that we've been able to also really get invested.
Yeah, Kirk, you were just mentioning the Seawolves. To give you a chance to explain that, I do remember when the Kraken made that initial effort as the franchise was getting underway. Can you go back in time and explain to people who maybe aren't familiar with Alaska hockey just how ingrained it has been in the community for such a long time?
Yeah, well, it all started with COVID. And for whatever reason, like the UA athletic department, or I shouldn't even say that specifically, the UA administration decided they were going to gas men's ice hockey. And for us, that, as a kid growing up, playing knee hockey at Sullivan Arena and watching UA players, that was, that kind of hit home. So it kind of sparked this big, okay, how do we turn this around and maintain UA in the Anchorage area? And Kathy Bethard was just instrumental in that. And I remember she talked about Todd and how her relationship with Todd was so important to saving the Seawolves. And that really sparked a giant push in the community, backed by the Kraken, to raise the money to have the board reinstate men's hockey. And so that was huge. It was huge having the Kraken be a part of that. And obviously Kathy Bethard, there's no one like her. She is important. She's a huge community leader.
And this relationship has developed over time. I know we talked on the phone about how the Kraken are, you see people on the ice now wearing Kraken sweaters, jerseys, as they're participating in the program. And you've had more and more young girls and boys participate in the program. What can you say about that?
There's my daughter in her Kraken jersey. It's been awesome. You can definitely see what's cool about it is the helmet stickers don't matter. Everywhere you go, there's different organizations compete over different players, but anytime it has to do anything with the Kraken, the helmet stickers don't matter. It's all about how the Kraken are involved in the Anchorage community and whatnot. And that's gone everywhere from the Kraken supporting our girls program and having special pink Kraken jerseys to the Kraken Learn to Play program, where now we've put over 200 kids through that program just in Anchorage alone. So I don't know how much further you want to go into that before he gets to talk about it, but that's been instrumental for us as well.
And you have a ponytail tournament, right?
We do. We have the Ponytail Classic, which is an all-girls tournament, and we have special Kraken jerseys that the girls wear just for that tournament. And it's awesome for girls from different programs to join up and wear the same jersey, and it's all kind of just backed by the Kraken.
And you were mentioning earlier, there's tournaments now going back and forth. There is some connective tissue here between Alaska and Seattle in terms of teams that may be going back and forth, and this has really kind of blossomed over the last few years.
Yes, I'd say the relationship I have with Martin Halinka is incredible. He is a great friend. He's a great mentor, And it's awesome that we can continue to communicate and set things up. And I've brought a couple of teams down to Seattle to play in tournaments or in jam, just whatever, like get a showcase together. They've brought teams up here. That facility, the Kraken Community Iceplex, is incredible. I constantly get asked, like, why can't we have one of those up in Alaska? And I was like, well, you're gonna have to get the recipe for that poutine and Brussels sprouts, because that restaurant's good too. Yeah, the hockey going back and forth is awesome.
Yeah.
Kyle, why has this been such an important part of the franchise's growth and development in Alaska? You can correct me, but I don't hear as much about the Kraken trying to do things in Portland or somewhere in Idaho or Alberta or BC. I mean, there is that other team up in BC, but why has Alaska been so important in terms of developing a relationship over time?
Absolutely. Well, I should say all of our fans are very important, and we want all of our regional fans to be excited about Kraken hockey. But kind of to Kirk's earlier point, I think there is an incredible legacy that's been established up in Alaska around the game, a deep connection in the community, a deep connection to their college hockey traditions, and one that, honestly, we're very lucky to be a small part of the history and legacy that has been kind of built before us. And so when we think about, connecting and supporting all of our hockey communities, Alaska has a real special place in what we do. And as Kirk mentioned too, when we think about programs like our Learn to Play program, whereas he mentioned, over 200 kids have been through that program, thinking about how we can ensure that kids across Alaska and kids from all kinds of backgrounds in that community have the opportunity to get a set of gear, get on the ice, develop their hockey skills, and then continue on that hockey journey. And if we can be a part of jumpstarting that journey for them by having a great Learn to Play partnership with Kirk and everyone, then we're really excited about it. But as you mentioned, there's those tournaments, the girls tournaments, fantastic. We have some other, partnerships and things that we've been a part of, like the Last Frontier Classic, another great tournament that's really unique to Alaska, where people are playing 3v3 outside. And so there's just a ton of traditions that we're really proud of to be connected to in the Alaska community.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, you're supplying some of this gear. That's part of this Learn to Play program.
The beauty of it is that we actually rebranded our Learn to Skate, Learn to Play program is called the C-Pups, which was kind of, in our way, building a new fan base for UAA as they came out of the COVID process. So the first jersey the kid ever gets when they step on the ice with us is a Seawolf, a UAA, C-Pup jersey. And the next jersey they get is a Kraken Learn to Play jersey. And that spearheads the whole growth of youth, development or growth of youth hockey in Anchorage here.
Well, I got to tell you both. I've had a dream for the last few years, and Kyle, I'm hoping you can work on this one for me. That the next outdoor classic is going to be in Anchorage or Fairbanks or Northern Alaska, made for TV event that we can see the Kraken play some other team on real ice outside. I mean, if we can start working on that now, that'd be good.
I'll definitely take it back. But I think one of the things that we continue to think about is how else can we absolutely creatively connect with all of those fans in Alaska and in the region. We definitely want to continue to lean into things like obviously everything that's happening with youth hockey and adult hockey, but some other really cool things that we've been able to do. We've been able to work with a couple of local artists on some of our specialty jerseys. So Ali Spurlock, a local artist, helped do our Women in Hockey jersey a couple of years ago, and then Amber Webb, who's UPIC and is a tribal member up there, is doing our Indigenous Peoples Night jersey this year. We've been able to connect with a few young people as a part of Make-A-Wish, and so I think there's always that big goal, absolutely, of having a major event up in Alaska and having our NHL players on the ice, which would be amazing. But even as we get there, the goal is to continue to find those smaller ways to connect with community members and get them really excited about the Kraken.
Kirk, you get the last word. Mystery Alaska game. I mean, where do you see this partnership in the future?
I would love it. We're going to start a feasibility study on the Anchorage football stadium right now. See how we can make it work. I'd say the last thing I got is I'm super thankful for our relationship. It's been incredible and second to none. And like the Kraken and Bristol Bay Native Corporation and AHA is just, it's an awesome trio that can't be replaced.
Yep. I would just reiterate, it's really great to work with, obviously Kirk and the team, but Bristol Bay Native Corporation has been an amazing partner. And again, getting some of those kids who might be furthest from the opportunity, financial assistance and opportunity to participate in some of Kirk's amazing programs. It's been great to work with BBNC and all of the community.
And I'm glad you mentioned Bristol Bay, because people often ask me when they're walking around KCI, they see Bristol Bay, what is that all about? And yeah, that's been a partnership for the Kraken as well. So thank you both, Kyle and Kirk, for joining us inside the arena.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So there you go. That was a fun conversation. If you want to hear it in its entirety, you can go to the KOMO News YouTube page. Of course, also on every freaking, did I say freaking?
Yeah, freaking. Stop freaking, call Beacon.
Audio platform that this show is on. And you can hear more from Kirk Kullberg and Kyle Boyd. Kyle, a friend of the show, one of those people that I always like to say has the perma smile on his face. It's such a compliment when people are constantly smiling. They could be telling you the worst thing in the world and they're still smiling. And Kyle's one of those guys you just want to be in the room with.
Yeah.
Because he's so happy and he's been great over at the Kraken from day one of the original employees and has been developing everything at the Kraken Community Iceplex. I always love seeing Kyle in person. I
always love being at that Iceplex. That's a lot of the staff there. You know, it's a good way to be. There's enough negativity in the world. Why do we got to compound it with some, they always do a good job over there.
Well, and I love hearing what's happening up in Anchorage, wearing the Kraken sweaters, as some people like to call them.
Yeah.
And what they've done with the learn to play and learn to skate. And that is funded in part by the Seattle Kraken. So there's definitely a long-term growth strategy. You heard me make the joke there about let's get a outdoor classic in Alaska.
That'd be
on
cool.
A frozen pond in the mountains, Mystery Alaska all over again with the Kraken. That's maybe a long-term goal, but God, that would be awesome.
That would be so cool. We'd have to be on the first flight for that.
I think Alaska Airlines flies direct.
I hope
from what
so.
I've heard from Seattle to Anchorage.
I was going to say, I hope so. Did you imagine? Yeah.
Well, again, thank you, Bill Fesh. We can't say it enough. 78 straight weeks.
Yeah, let's go.
We have not had a week off, and that is in large part due to the efforts of Bill Fesh here at KOMO TV, the Inside the Arena studios.
And you and I have crazy different schedules. Bill corrals us.
Yes.
So
thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. And thank you, David.
You've been listening to Inside the Arena with Niko and Chris. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Until next time.
Inside the Arena was presented by Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, Seattle's closest sports book.